Hey everybody, welcome back to the Shop Worldwide. My name is Michael. Today, if you watched one of the last videos I did, I was talking about the high intake temperatures, and I figured out that the intercooler pump for the air-to-water intercooler was not running properly. So I checked the connections and they had power, but the pump still wasn't running. So the pump is no good. So I did order a new pump. It is an upgraded model from the older pump, so I am gonna have to rewire the connection for the new housing on it. But I got that, and I have the new pump, so we are going to get that installed today, and hopefully it'll work, and then we can actually cool our supercharger, because high intake temperatures are not good. So I'm gonna get this in the shop, and we're gonna get the front and bumper off to begin with, and well, we'll get started on it. Alright, so when the pump is running properly, this reservoir is supposed to have kind of like a toilet bowl effect. It's supposed to swirl in there almost like a drain, but it's not doing anything. I don't have it turned on at the moment because I wanted you to be able to hear me, but that's how it's supposed to do it. Even when it is running with the engine started, it is still not doing anything at all. So we are going to replace that pump. We're going to begin at the top side. All these 10mm bolts right here we're going to get out, and then we'll lift the car up, get the wheels off, and start from there. Now that we got that taken care of, next we're going to get all these clips out of the wheel well that attach to the bumper on both sides. We'll go ahead and get all those off. Alright, now we're going to get all of the screws out from the bottom of the splash guard, and we'll go ahead and get all those pulled off, and then we'll unhook the connectors for the fog lights. Wheel well, there's also going to be 2 screws or 2 nuts. You have to take off those up there, along with the other side as well. So over here you can see those 2 as well, and then on the front these pieces pop out here, and there is another nut. You have to take off each one of those. there we go. We got it off. We got it sitting over there. Now we're gonna go ahead and get this pump drained. There's the pump right there. So we're gonna go ahead and get this line off so we can go ahead and drain it. So I'm gonna lift the car back up and get something under it so I can drain that line. All right, and we have the old pump out, as you see here. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the pump in place first, and then I'm gonna go about getting the wire housing changed out. So as you can see here, this is a bit different from the new one here. So I gotta cut that one off and wire in the new one. So first I'm gonna go ahead and get the hoses hooked up, get it mounted back up there, and then we'll work on that. So actually, before we get that back in place, got this nice heat resistant tape. I'm gonna go ahead and clean the intercooler down with a little bit of brake clean and a rag, and we'll get some of that tape on the ends and the top and bottom. Alright, I got one end done here. I think it's starting to look pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and finish up the rest of it now. I'm going to do the top and bottom and then the other end as well. I got the intercooler all taped up on the end, the top there, and then on the bottom. Not amazing at packing Christmas gifts, but I think I did a fairly good job. So next we're going to mount that pump in place, and then once we get that mounted in place, we'll get that horn back in. I just honestly unbolted that so I'd have a little bit more room to get that tape in there. And then we'll work on wiring this new plug-in. Alright, I got the new pump in place here and wired up. I did have to wire it directly to the pump as the connector that I got from the other dealership that was supposed to fit this pump. It does fit the pump, but the wiring pins for some reason are not getting power. So I just wired the pins directly to the pump for now until I can get another housing for it that may work. It is working now though. As you see here, fluid is spinning nicely. I'm just getting the rest of the air out of it now. So now I'm gonna start getting it back together. I got the bumper here. I'm gonna go ahead and get it in place, and we'll get those two front bolts in first. That way those will hold it in place while I get the rest of them in. So putting this back together, two of the harder screws to see and remember, there's one that goes up back there, and another one where I have it in place already. These are kind of hard to get to on the other side, so I'm showing this side for reference because those intercooler hoses do go through that side. But as you can see here, they just go straight up. We already got the nuts secured on the top side up there. So we're going to go ahead and get the rest of these secured and then start working on the bottom. Now we have all the clips back in place and the wheel wells and underneath the car. So all of this is back and secure. Now we just have to secure the bumper from the top. Alright, I went ahead and started it to make sure that I still had my swirl in the filler over here. So I confirmed that it does indeed still have swirl. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the tires back on and torque down, and then we can go for a little drive. So I took the Miata up and down the mountain a few times, rode it pretty hard, and monitored the intake air temps with the ECU Tech dongle that Bluetooth pairs to my phone, so I can keep an eye on that while driving and in between driving. Seems to be working really good. Intake temps are way down from what they were, so I can push the car harder for longer without those temperatures creeping up. That's really what we were aiming for. I do have a new intake coming in from Zero Limit. That is a made-to-order part, so unfortunately I will have to wait about 3 weeks for that to get here. But once that gets in, that bumper will come off again. We'll get that intake, and I'll probably go ahead and replace that relay for that pump at that time. I looked for one, but they didn't have one in stock when I went to pick it up. So I'll go ahead and replace that relay just to make sure that was working good, and hopefully we won't have to pull that bumper off again for a while. As always, thank you again for watching here at the shop worldwide. Check out what Corey's got going on. If you haven't watched some of the videos I've made driving the Miata, go check those out, and see you next time.